Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be kind of just doing a little review for Dungeonborne. This is a game I didn't know much about, and then I just kind of went through the Steam Next Fest stuff for February in 2024, just in case you're watching this at a later date. And I found this game, and it's very, very good. It's very enjoyable, and I'm enjoying it so much that I'm just going to make a video on it. It's not the normal type of video I would do, but I'm just going to put it there to help other people find this game as well, because I think it's very, very good. So obviously, if you're looking at this main menu screen right here, you probably think it looks quite similar to Dark and Darker, and it is very, very similar to Dark and Darker. I didn't play so much of it, but I did kind of like it, and then obviously, you know, it was taken off Steam and that whole thing happened. But there's a lot of inspiration here from Dark and Darker for sure, but it's definitely its own thing, I think. I think it's very, very good. So, just some stuff to go over. There is a solo mode and a trios mode. That's great. You know, I like when games have team modes and it's very team focused, which this game is, but having that solo mode there as well is really, really nice. Also, there's an arena, so you can just fight other people straight up in a 3v3 if you want to. Then there's custom games, so you can, you know, mess around with your friends and those or whatever. Then there's a training room as well. So, like, for a game that's in an alpha during the Steam Next Fest, there's a lot of stuff here. Like, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 game modes, I would say, you know, which is quite good. And then again, it does have a solo and trios game mode. So if you want to play solo, you know, you can just go ahead and do that yourself. You can fight other solos. And if you want to play trios, but you don't have a group, then don't you worry, because there is, I don't know how to do it, there is a way to very, very quickly just add other people and just join them. So like, if I press this plus button, I'm gonna invite someone else to my party, and most likely they'll join. I don't know if it's because it's like in alpha and people just need teammates to play with, but if you like invite all of these people, one of them will join really, really quickly within like 20 seconds. So it already has like a very, very good built-in matchmaking system, and like, you don't have to play the trios if you want. If you want to play as a solo in a trios mode, you can also do that, but I don't know why you would want to do that. So that's all the game modes, and I think that's very good. There's like a lot of options there you can choose from, so there's probably going to be something for you. I should probably go through the classes as well. So if we go here, this is not the right thing. If I go here to the classes tab, you can see I've got 4 classes, but I'm going to go through them all. So there is a fighter. This is basically the tank. You can like go into the game and read through all this stuff on your own if you want. But there is a tank, basically. There is a kind of cleric, I would call them, the kind of healer, basically. There is a rogue, who's kind of like a thief or a bandit class. There's a sword master, and I don't really know what this class is. This one's a little bit confusing for me. It's kind of like a dex-focused, maybe melee unit. I'm not so sure. Kind of similar to the rogue, but maybe does more base damage, I would say. And then there is the pyromancer, who's just the mage that's good at doing damage with fire. Then there is the death knight and the cryomancer. So the death knight is like an undead kind of glass cannon tank, I would say. And then the cryomancer is an undead kind of mage, and they have a lightning staff by default instead of the pyromancer's fire staff. So here's all of the classes, and each class has 2 abilities, so those are going to be different for every class. And they also have 5 passives. Now, the passives aren't really passives, like they are, but you have to get to a certain level to be able to use the passive. So if I go back to the main menu here, so if I press tab to open up my character inventory screen, you can see here at the bottom, these little triangles, if you hover over them, they show you your passives. I currently have 29 strength. I need 45 strength and 70 strength for these passives to kick in. And then obviously there's other little triangles for the other passives that will need to kick in as well. So the passives don't actually passive unless you have enough unless you've leveled up enough to be able to use them, if that makes sense. Which is kind of interesting. I've not seen that really anywhere else. Normally, if you have a passive ability, you've got like the passive ability, but not in this game. You kind of have to level up to get it. And to level up, you just play games and you just get XP. So you can see I'm level 7, and it's not really like in Hunt Showdown where if you die, you lose the character. If you die, you're still level 7 and you still have all of the same stats, which is kind of nice. At least in the alpha anyway. If you're watching this like when the beta is out or when the full game is out, then, you know, like, it's obviously probably not going to be the same. So every time you start a game, you will spawn with like the worst stuff, which is very nice because like if you go and play Tarkov, you don't spawn with anything, right? Unless you do a scav run. But in this game, you spawn with like a really bad weapon, really bad helmet, really bad armor, and like just really bad everything except for the torch. I think the torch is the same. And then when you enter the match, I might have some gameplay up on the screen here. When you enter the match, you're thrown in with all of this gear. Other players are thrown in with all of this gear as well. And your objective is to basically just get better gear. So you might come across a sword that does slightly more damage. You might come across a shield that blocks more damage or gives you some extra max life and all that kind of stuff. So you do spawn in with things every time, so it doesn't really matter if you die or not, again, at least in the alpha, which is very, very good. I quite like that a lot. You just have really bad stuff. But then in-game, you can just upgrade your stuff quite quickly. It's not so hard to find things to upgrade. And when you're in-game, if you're a tank, you can't wear, like, the rogue stuff. Or if you're a pyromancer, you can't take the, I don't know, the fighter's stuff, right? You kind of need to have, like, every class has their own things that they can and can't wear and can and can't use, which is very good as well, because then obviously it means there's different ways to play it. Another thing I'll mention is that there is lots of diversity to the enemies, and the enemies are really cool. The graphics and the soundtrack are also quite good. I'll just throw that in there too. But the enemy diversity is really cool too. I remember opening my first Mimic chest and it scared the bejesus out of me. But it was really cool seeing a Mimic chest because I hadn't seen one of those since Dark Souls, you know? But that was very, very cool to see. And then there's like giant rats, there's the Grim Reapers, I don't know what the proper names of any of the enemies are, so don't quote me on that. There's goblins. It just gives a very, very cool, like, dungeony vibe, and it's quite cool. Another thing I'll say is that the teamwork is very, very tactical. So because the combat is so slow, it means that you really have to play it right. You know, it's not going to be like whoever, you know, has the strongest sword is going to get the kill. Like, sure, that will help, but it's really going to be whichever team, or even if you're solo, whichever, like, solo makes the best decisions is probably going to win that fight. Whoever uses their abilities best and kind of outsmarts the other player is probably going to win the fight, and that's one very, very good thing about this. Like, if you're playing Tarkov or some other extraction shooter game, you're just going to get sniped from across the map from someone you can't see, and then you also can't even see who killed you because there's no spectator mode. You just go straight back to the lobby, right? So that's not very fun. In this, you're not going to get insta-killed unless your opponent's like super, super strong, but even then you're probably not going to get insta-killed. It's going to be like more or less a fair fight, which is one of the very, very nice things about this. Also, while I'm on the topic of comparing it to Tarkov, even though they're not that similar at all, the load times are fast. The load times are really, really fast. It's not like you're going to be queuing for a game for 8 minutes and then you play it for 2 and die straight away. You load in quick, and then you normally play for quite a while, and then you load out quick as well, which is very, very good. Like 30-second maximum load times. They're not even that long, more like 20-second maximum. But load times are very, very, very good, which is great. One nice thing is that after you extract, or if you die, you do have the option to spectate. So if you're a solo and you die and you don't know what killed you, you can just spectate, and most likely that person will come and try and grab your loot, which is very, very good. And also, if you're in a team game and you die, you'll spectate your teammates, which is nice as well, because the game's first person, so maybe when you're spectating, you can like peek around corners and stuff, and just kind of let your teammate know what's coming down the next hallway or something, and that might be useful in some situations. And also, if you extract and you want to like spectate a teammate or something, you can do that as well, which is just very nice. So I kind of touched on this a little bit before, but the combat is very, very, very slow, so you really have to try and make the right decisions, because otherwise you're just going to get punished, and you really have to like play well as a team. Or if you're playing solo, you just have to play well and smart yourself, which is great. It's like a tactical extraction game, kind of, just because of how slow the combat is. It really feels like there's a lot of like weight to all of your movements, and you want to be doing the right thing, because if you don't, then that's probably not going to be great for you. One other thing I'll mention is that there is also kind of an element of battle royale in there as well, because there's like a quote storm, I don't know what the word is, but there's like a ring that closes, and as the game progresses you have to go towards the ring, because otherwise you'll die in the storm. So there's that as well, and normally I wouldn't really like that type of thing in an extraction game, but it fits really, really well, because sometimes you'll be in a game just like looting and trying to clear out one room for like 5 minutes, and then you're like, oh wait, the storm, we gotta go towards the center now, and it does really push the people towards fighting each other. It's not like everyone just dies and then you're the only one in the ring. Like, every time I've been in kind of a small ring, I've died to like a different player instead of dying to a mob, so that's quite a good thing as well. It really does encourage PvP as the circle gets closer, which is quite cool. So I will say I've only extracted once, but this is how you extract. There's going to be a blue little portal thing, and then you hold down the interact button on the blue portal thing, and then you just extract. So you do have to hold it down for a while, but then you're able to do it. And also there's an item you can find called a ritual scroll, and I believe that just makes the sound effect of you extracting quieter, but I'm not too sure about that, so someone correct me in the comments down below if that's not correct. So this isn't going to be like an ultra mega 50-hour review. There's only like 3 days left on the Steam Next Fest thing, so I actually haven't had that much time to play it. I've only found out about it recently. I only installed it yesterday, but I'm definitely really enjoying it, so I just wanted to make this video kind of showcase the game a little bit. But yeah, there you go. It's definitely very enjoyable. I like the class diversity, I like the graphics, I like the soundtrack, I like the combat, I like the tactical play, I like the team play. There's a lot of communication. Like, sometimes if you go ahead and play a game of Warzone in like a trio with 2 of your friends, you're just not going to talk that much sometimes. Like, especially if you're like sniping top of a tower or something, you'll each just have a sniper, you'll each just take shots. You can even just ping them instead of talking. In this, you really have to communicate a lot, because otherwise one of you is going to go into a room that the other person isn't really in, and you have to like communicate who's using which attack at which time and all that stuff, so you don't damage each other. There's so much like talking in it, and so much communication, and so much tactical play. It really feels like you're in a team when you're playing in a team, and that's quite cool as well, because even in other team-based games, that's not there a whole lot. So that's really cool to see as well. Last thing I'll say is this game is free until February 12th. It's in alpha and free as a demo on Steam until February 12th, and then I believe it's not going to be an alpha anymore, but there'll probably be a beta in like another month or 2 months or something. That's normally when there's a beta after an alpha, but don't quote me on that because I really have no idea. But yeah, there you go. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to be it for this video. If you liked it, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Farewell.